So, did you cut anyone this year? Or are you about to cut some friendships? It's so funny for me that every year, one of the resolutions for everyone is to cut people, remove people. And one of the people who are always being cut, it is friends. One thing that I have realized, story time, ne? If you have not experienced friendship breakup, you are very blessed. What I can tell you is that, it is painful. It is very painful. It is more painful than actually breaking up with a boyfriend. That's what I believe. Because with a boyfriend, you always have that expectation at the back of your mind that, okay, anything can happen, and should it happen, your friends are going to be there to hold you, to comfort you. So who's going to hold you when your friend is the one who has hurt you, or you have disappointed them and they've decided that I'm enough? If it has never happened to you, you are very blessed. But if this was something that you have experienced, please comment below and let me know, how did you navigate it? As I continue to learn and unlearn, one of the things that I'm realizing is that we put too much on our friends, whether it's fair or not. I've been guilty of that. I will see my friends as these perfect people who are not supposed to make mistakes, or who are not supposed to disappoint me or hurt me, because it's like your friend, they end up being your sisters. And even though there's no blood, they always say blood is thicker than water, but you realize that the people you choose, that bond, it can be so powerful. And one of the people that you choose is who becomes your friend. So it's not easy to forgive them. Don't come for me. Mara is not. Or even if you forgive, you will say that, okay, I'm forgiving them, but I choose to no longer continue with that friendship. And I think it's because we expect so much from our friends. We expect them to understand us. We expect them to support us. And we expect them, as we are growing, that the friendship is just going to continue in the same way. Forgetting that seasons are not the same, that people change and they've got a right to change. And also, sometimes the season that you are in, you are not able to maintain your friendship. I remember for me, I've had seasons where my friends, like I had kids and my focus was my kids and my husband, where I have friends who are still single, and some of them, they are not married or they don't have kids. And some of them had to adjust and understand that in the season that I'm in, I cannot really go out anytime I want to. We have to plan our dates in advance. And some of them had to understand that if I go out, like at a certain time, I need to go back home. And that is a personal choice, but also those are some of the realities of friendships. Which season are you in? And are you expecting a lot from your friend? Are you giving them grace as much as you give other people? I'm just going to share one example. Most of us, we have heard of friends, unfortunately, one of them ended up dating the other friend's boyfriend or husband. Then the friendship ends. But later on, the girlfriend will decide to forgive the man, but they never forgive their friends. And there will always be a conversation about who's wrong and who's right. For me, I feel like the reason why it is easy for a woman to forgive a man, whether it's right or not, is because the standard is set so low for men. So when a guy cheats, most of the women is like, okay, I kind of expected it. But when your friend cheats with your partner, that hurts more than the partner, actually, the person you are committed to, hating you. Whether it's fair or not, that's not the issue. So why am I doing this video today? I think for me is to come out here and say, as much as we think that friendships are supposed to grow without any real effort, the truth is that just like any other relationship, you have to be intentional about your friendships. You have to also, even before you become friends with someone, decide if they are the right person for you. And most of us, if we are honest, we don't do it. Like, you are sitting next to someone and you start talking to them, next thing is like, okay, we are friends. And it's worse now with social media. I used to be so bothered that when you are online, people will be calling you a friend, like, oh, hi friend, and you don't even really know each other, you haven't connected, we just followed each other or subscribed to each other's channels. So it's like we use the term friend so loosely, hence sometimes we end up hating ourselves, because maybe we are not really friends. Maybe people are just saying friend because it's something that is used by someone else. So later on, when you thought that these are my friends, and you've got your own expectations of what friendship means, when that person do not meet your expectations, you end up being hurt. And also at the beginning, with romantic relationships, we will have boundaries, we'll set rules like, okay, now when you are dating me, this is what I'm expecting, that you must call me, or we must meet once a week, or I'm expecting that you should not lie to me. If you lie to me, I'm going to break up with you, and that's the end. But when it comes to our friends, we never have that. We never sit down and say, okay, as a friend, what are you expecting from me? How are we going to communicate? How do we show up for each other? As I'm saying this, I'm thinking about something. The concept of the 5 languages. Yeah, the 5 love languages. It applies to marriages, but it also applies to other relationships. So most of us, we do not receive or give love in the same way. Some of us, we give love through physical acts, while others through words of affirmation. My love language is words of affirmation. When you talk to me, when you compliment what I'm saying, when you understand what I'm saying and use words to affirm me, it really speaks to my heart. But then other people, in order for them to feel loved, you need to serve them in physical ways, maybe make them coffee or prepare food for them. Then other people, they prefer gifts. Like, I know my son, my second born, he prefers gifts. Then we also, you see, we have different people. So in friendships, the same is true. But most of the time, we don't think about it. We just assume that we are all the same. But the truth is that we are all unique, even if we have similar values or similar hobbies. But at the end of the day, there are certain things that makes us unique. So even how we love and receive love can be different. But most of the time as friends, we don't talk about that. I know that my friends one day, Bongi, but you usually hear her, ne? So one day we'll have a sit down where we can talk. I know that for such a long time, I couldn't understand, because I'm a person, I need words of affirmation. Yana, she's different. And also I need a bit of physical touch, while for her, physical touch is like, it's not her thing. So I couldn't understand that. But then for her, showing love is through showing up. She's that person who will show up through actions. Now for now, I wanted her to say, but Chomi, I love you. Ooh, my friend, you are doing so well. Hey, you are the one. I'm kidding, not that much. But the point is that I needed those words instead of only actions. But because we never really talked about it, it wasn't easy for me. I would feel like, no, this person doesn't really love me the way I love them. Because I was able to say, I appreciate you, I'm grateful for you. Now she was not saying it every day the way I wanted her to say. Kind of sound like a romantic relationship, ne? How many of us end up fighting with our partners because they are not speaking to our heart the way we want them to. And sometimes we don't communicate about it. And the same is true when it comes to friendship. We never really sit down and talk as friends and say, friend, this is what I need right now, or this is the season that I am in, and where I am right now, I need space. That might sting, but it also helps you to know where you stand, instead of wondering, are we still friends or are we not? Or now we must write on status, when days are dark, friends are few. So, but if we can actually have an honest, safe conversation where we say, okay, maybe for that season you were the person that I needed, but right now we are in different spaces, and yeah, I need kind of a break, or I need to focus on other things. As much as it's going to be painful to let go, but I think it will give you the closure that you need. So please, let's give each other grace as friends. Not all friends are bad, ne? And not all friends are good. But then sometimes we are so hard on our friends. Maybe the standard, we need to adjust our standards and remember that just like everyone else, our friends are human beings too. And sometimes they are going to make mistakes. Sometimes they are not going to show up the way we want them to. What's important is to communicate. So before you cut someone, please talk to them, so that once you talk to them, you know where you stand, and also you can learn and reflect. And contrary to popular belief, sometimes the problem is you. It's not them, it is you. You know how sometimes we feel like we are victims, or not every time, I'm so nice to people and people hate me. Maybe people don't need your niceness. Maybe you are too much. You are burdening other people. Your love is too much for other kids, and you want them to always be there when they've got other things. So let's give each other grace. Thank you so much for watching until so far. Let me know, what is your experience when it comes to friendship? Has it been a positive one or not? And what are you going to change this year? Don't forget to subscribe, to like, to comment, and share with someone else. Thank you so much. Bye.